In this video, I'm going to present you with a complete repertoire as black against 1d4. Now if you like to play safe, solid chess, trying to equalise passively with the black pieces, well, I suggest you ask for your money back, because what I'm proposing to you here is an extra sharp and double-edged new system known as the Clarendon Court. The opening has the big advantage of being practically unknown, so if you watch this video, you'll know more about it than almost anybody who hasn't. So what is the new Clarendon Court Defence? After white opens with 1d4, you attack the centre at once with c5, and if white presses on with 2d5, black continues with the surprising move f5. It's not completely new. There is one small note on it in the 5-volume ECO, referring to a Russian game from 1971, which continued 3 knight c3, knight f6, 4 bishop g5, queen b6, 5 rook b1, d6, when after 6 knight h3 white got a big edge. My new idea is to play 5 h6 instead of 5 d6, so that if white takes the knight, then black can recapture with the queen and keep his pawn structure intact. This is the main line, which I'll be looking at in detail later. Apart from a couple of other games in the late 80s, that's about it theoretically, until my own game with Lev Albert from the New York Open in 1994 made it into Informer to 60. Since then, Russian Grandmaster Tukmakov has also used the system to defeat Lputian. One word of warning: with a brand new super sharp system starting on move 2, there's always going to be some danger. You can't have everything. Black can get a weakness on the e6 square, but I believe this to be quite manageable, and you should get plenty of counter chances. I've played the defence a number of times already in tournaments this year, and on every occasion I've gained time on the clock, and none of my opponents, including 2 Grandmasters, have been able to refute the opening. I've also analysed it at home, of course, and I'll be showing you plenty of original analysis as we go along. Incidentally, Fritz 3 has been unable to find anything wrong with it either. In fact, against Fritz on a fast Pentium computer, I usually get completely winning positions out of the opening with black. I don't always win them, but that's another matter. After d4, c5 is the move I'm recommending. The most aggressive white reply is d5, which is almost certainly the critical move. And now we're already in the Clarendon Court. Black plays f5. There are 3 approaches that white can try when you play this opening. He can attempt to blast you off the board immediately with moves like e4 or even h4. There is the positional approach with g3, fianchettoing the king's bishop, and there is the sharpest and most critical line: 3 knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5. Finally, after c5, white does not have to advance the d-pawn. You have to be ready for passive moves like e3, c3, or knight f3, or for the slightly more aggressive e4, or even for d takes c5. But none of these moves pose a real threat, and I'll be giving you a fairly convincing way of dealing with them. When you play the Clarendon Court, there are various strange ways white can react from the very start. I'd like to deal with these first of all, since they should actually be quite good fun for black. Grandmaster Matthew Sadler played the slightly bizarre h4 against junior David Moscovich at Islington, London 1994. After knight f6, h5, he went on to win an amusing game. But I don't believe that losing so much time in the opening pushing the h-pawn can be a good idea for white. Moscovich played e6, but I think a much better move is b5, preparing to round up the d5 pawn with bishop b7. I think black is fine in this position. The advanced h-pawn is looking a bit irrelevant, and white has already got some problems defending his centre. Against the Dutch defence, white sometimes likes to gambit a pawn with e4, which is known as the Staunton gambit. Similarly, in the Clarendon Court, white can try to play 3 e4. It's certainly more dangerous than h4, I think. Black must take it. F takes e4. White continues knight c3, and black should play knight f6. This is what happened the first time I played the Clarendon Court proper, at the New York Open in 1994. There were already several possibilities for white here. My opponent, J. Eugene Salomon, continued with bishop g5,